computer.
Hi, Ami.
Welcome, everyone.
Hi, everybody. Hi. Hi, Twiggy. Hi, Juliana. Hey.
Hi.
I'm gonna, 1 second. We're gonna wait about 30 seconds to a minute just in case we get people trickling in. That usually tends to happen. How do going to I should rename this. Anyways, that's helpful.
And your name.
Okay. Hold on. I think we're gonna start because I don't want to wait too long, I feel like. Well, thank you guys for, oh wait, I'm gonna admit somebody now. It's funny because like as soon as I'm gonna start, it usually happens, but okay, but thank you so much for joining us today. Honestly, we're in a very interesting stage at Visionary Projects, and I think between Photo Trouvée and us, like we're coming together for the purpose of community, which is really exciting, and we just want to be able to offer a lot of diversity and value. And these are just one of the many projects that we're like constantly putting on. And again, just trying to make it as accessible as possible and interesting as well. So I thought this was a very interesting event. I think the work that Juliana and Twiggy does as a team is very inspiring and also very realistic, because I know I started Visionary Projects back in 2018, and the platform has grown so much, especially post-pandemic, mostly focusing online. So it's obviously turning into directions that I never in a million years could have imagined, especially in the starting point, because like I said, in 2018, I co-owned a gallery in Italy, and that's literally where it started, from a storefront gallery space. And now it's like an online international platform. And yeah, that would have never happened, honestly, if it weren't for the pandemic. And I think the pandemic also brought whoever is, I'm gonna mute Joanne. Sorry, Joanne. But whoever, or no, sorry, I lost my train of thought for a second. But I think the beauty of the pandemic also brought Juliana and Twiggy together, essentially. So, and they were able to work from basically different parts of the world, which is so challenging. So me and Blaine are very interested to hear that, because we're both here managing everything for Visionary Projects together in New York. And I think there's always something to learn from everybody. And yeah, we're just super excited to bring this event to you and hope that you get as much out of it that you can. And I think these events are really what you make of them. So definitely ask all the questions, take notes. I guess ask as like take advantage of this time, ask as many questions as possible. But if you also want to ask something while somebody's talking, definitely write them in the group chat. And I think they'll get around to it as they're kind of done going through everything. But we're going to share screens, be very visual and detailed. So yeah, and if you have any questions for us, also write them in the group chat. We'll kind of go through everything after they're done with the presentation. And this is sort of like a workshop webinar style of it. And of course, everything is going to be asked questions, answers at the end of the presentation. And apologies for the ambulance if you hear it. We're in Manhattan, so comes with the territory of being in Manhattan. Yeah, so I guess you guys can take it away, and we'll just be here, and yeah, we'll stay on for the entirety of the duration.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm going to start sharing my screen, and you guys let me know if you can see it, because I want to make sure that everyone can see on present mode. Can you see it full screen now? Awesome. So welcome, everyone. It's such an honor to be here. We really appreciate your time. your willingness to learn and to get to know us a little bit. My name is Juliana Naufel, and Twiggy and I will be talking how we started in our platform, as Haley said, from different parts of the world, just because we really wanted to find our people out there, and how it became so much more than we could have ever thought throughout this past 3 years that we've been working on it. So before we go ahead to all the details, I want to briefly introduce myself. I was born and raised in São Paulo, Brazil, and I have a degree in visual arts from Unesp, which is like a major university here. And even when I was doing my bachelor in fine arts, I knew that my people were not the ones who were attending school with me. So from the very beginning, I was trying to look for other women artists and creatives around the world who would share the same interests as I do. And I graduated in 2017, 2018, because I have a double degree with teaching degree and bachelor's. And I'm also an art therapist now. And in 2016, I started embroidering photos, and this became a huge passion of mine. This has led me to my art therapy degree because I saw how powerful it is to embroider a photograph and how healing it is. And since then, I've been part of more than 40 group shows and art biennials in Brazil, Belgium, Canada, London, England, and so many places. I have a gallery representation now. And one of the most incredible things that happened was meeting Twiggy, and how our friendship has led not only to find our bestie, but also create something so important for me, that is Photo Trouvée. So that's a little bit about me, and I'm going to give the word to Twiggy. And Twiggy, go ahead.
Thank you so much for being here, everyone. And as Juliana said, my name is Twiggy. I was born and raised in Paris, France, and I moved to the US for high school in 2003, I believe. It's a long time now. And I moved to South Florida. After high school, I attended the Maryland Institute College of Art in Baltimore, also known as MICA. And I graduated in 2012 with a BFA in painting and a minor in curatorial studies. After I graduated, I went into teaching. So first I worked as a museum educator at the Walters Museum of Art in Baltimore. And then I moved back to South Florida, and that's when I started teaching full-time. Oh, someone from MICA, yay! I started teaching full-time elementary art at a elementary school. In 2019, I went ahead and made the decision to quit my teaching job. It was taking me a lot of my creativity, and I felt like I didn't really have time to do anything with my art practice, and I had a big gap, and during that time I also had a baby, so having that full teaching job and then taking care of a newborn was quite a lot. So in 2019, I actually just made the jump and decided to get back to my art practice. And I make mixed media collages that use found photos in them. And I use a variety of techniques from painting to drawing, collaging, all of the above. And then in 2020, this is when we founded Photo Trouvée Magazine. And currently I'm working as an artist and co-founder of Photo Trouvée Magazine full-time. And last August, I also started homeschooling my daughter. She started kindergarten. So it's busy days here, full days. So yeah, thank you so much for being here, and we're excited to talk a little bit about our magazine and how we got started.
So I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with our magazine and platform, but we're going to go ahead and talk a little bit about our mission, why we created it, and a timeline, because I'm sure that if you're here, you're either connected to our platform or you're interested into creating your own. And we know that it can be really scary starting something from scratch and having questions like, is it going to work? Am I going to find my people? Like, is it worth creating a whole platform or magazine or whatever project you want to make? And I feel that for both of us, I can say that it's definitely worth it, even though it can be a lot of work. It can surprise you in ways you've never thought were possible. So going back a little bit on time, we were both working with vintage photos, found photos. We were living in different sides of the world, and we didn't know that many artists who were working, and sometimes we felt that we didn't have really a place, or that our work wouldn't be recognized as it was deserved, you know? So there was something that for both of us was really important, just trying to find our community. Like, we were sure that there were people out there. We knew very few of them, but that's like the feeling that moved us to start thinking about this project. Twiggy, do you want to add anything else?
Yeah, so a big part of why we started it was because we could find some platforms and magazines and Instagrams that were, specifically dedicated to collage or embroidery, or platforms that were specifically dedicated to all types of art. And so we weren't able to find a place that was just for people who worked with or were inspired by found photos. And as it's a little bit non-traditional, I guess we could call it, we really felt like we wanted to create a place where we could make connection and essentially find our people, and then create opportunities for those people. So basically our magazine, which became an art platform, essentially, has a focus on vintage photographs and nostalgia. And we try to provide opportunities for artists who work with or are inspired by found or family photos, or vintage photos, so all encompassing. And we actually founded the magazine in 2020. I had this idea to maybe create something like this, some kind of publication where we could showcase artists who work in this way. And I was thinking about it for a while, and I really felt like I didn't think that I could do it by myself. And I had just recently met Juliana, who I connected with right away, and our works were different, but also similar because they revolved around using found photos. So I decided to just ask her if she would want to come on this journey with me. She wasn't sure at first. She said she had to think about it, which is great, but she agreed, and I'm really glad because we were able to found Photo Trouvée Magazine. So
yeah, I was definitely scared when you first invited me, but I'm glad I said yes. This is probably one of the most important yeses of my life. So before we start sharing like this awesome timeline of how the magazine grew to an art platform I think it's important to also let you know how both of us met, because once again, if you want to create a magazine or a platform or a community, it's most likely that you're looking for like-minded people and other creatives who share the same interests. And for us, we actually met on Instagram. We started following each other in 2019. Absolutely no idea how the two of us connected, because I just remember like being super in love with Twiggy's work, but having no idea how I found her work or how she found mine. And that same year, by chance, again, we took the same mastermind program. And within this mastermind program, we were put together in an accountability pod, which was like a smaller group that you would be more in touch throughout the whole program. And that's how our friendship began. And that same year, by the end of this mastermind program, there was an event happening in Miami. So everyone could go and meet each other in person, because everyone was based in the US apart from me. So I flew to Miami, and then since I would be there, I asked if anyone wanted to host an event with me, an in-person event, because I would be there. I was really looking forward, like doing a pop-up exhibition or a pop-up event, and Twiggy said that she would do that. And this was actually the first time that we worked together for this event, and we worked together really well. Like, of course, we had its challenges. We're still getting to know one another, but it worked. And this is a photo of this event that we hosted at West Elm, Miami. And in the middle is Michelle Light Gomez, who was our coach and the person who brought us together, essentially. And if you see it here, like our work went along really well. And from there, we understood that it was possible to go further when it comes to working together as a team. And then early 2020, as Twiggy said, she invited me to go found Photo Trouvée with her. And I was scared. I had a lot going on, but I said yes. And that's the important part, I think. And do you want to talk a little bit about our first year with the magazine?
Yeah, definitely. So again, we, even to this day, we've only seen each other in real life 2 times. Fun fact, but we work on Zoom 2 to 3 times a week together. So, you know, we're very familiar, and we've become really good friends. And, you know, Juliana is very involved with my family, and even my daughter sees her as family. So, yeah, we really we're able to build something without even being in the same place, which can be challenging, but I think for us it worked really well. And because we started our kind of working together in this way, since we were planning the event at West Elm, and Juliana was in Brazil and I was here in Florida, that's how we planned our first event together, already on Zoom and virtually. So after that, it just felt almost natural to keep going that way. So for our first year, we had, for our first 2 issues, because we were just starting out, the first thing that we did was create a Instagram account. And, you know, we definitely started from 2 followers, her and I. We didn't really have any background, any experience doing any of this. It felt a little bit scary, but we decided to just jump in and learn as we went. And for the first 2 issues, since we were just starting out, we decided to reach out to a couple artists that we knew were working with found photos at the time. And I think we maybe had 2 people who did not agree to be in it, but everybody else did. So that's how we had our first issue. We also decided, because of the pandemic and because of budget issues, or not issues, just lack of budget, I guess, we decided to do a digital magazine first, just to see how it would, how it would pan out in the world. And with COVID going on and shipping problems everywhere, we didn't want to add that to our start. So we decided to do a digital magazine. The first two issues, like I said, we invited artists. And then by the third issue, we actually started building, a bit of a following, making connections in the community. And we were able to have our first open call, which was super exciting, and we had a great response. And from issue 3 on, that's how we've been doing things. We host open calls 3 times a year. We have 3 issues per year. Yeah, and then if you want to go for 2021, Juliana.
Sure. And so we started hosting open calls, which was so exciting once we started getting to know other artists who we weren't familiar with their works. And also just the amount of people who were interested in being here in this community with us. And as Twiggy said, this was still happening online. But it also, I think in an artist's perspective, changed a lot of things for us, because we know how hard it is to choose and select just a limited amount of artists per issue to be part of something. So at least for me, when it comes to my art practice, being at the other side of the table helped me a lot, not taking things that personally. And another thing that we want to mention here is that we started very small. So as we said, we started inviting artists. So there were just, I think, maybe 13 artists in the first issue, and then maybe 15 artists in the second. And now we have 25 artists selected, from 25 to 30 top selected for each issue. And that's something that we grew with time as well, and with like our learning of the techniques and getting our work even more professional, like each issue that we go. So 2021, we were hosting our open calls already, and we decided that it was time to have our first spring issue. And that was so exciting, but also so scary for us, because once again, when you're publishing on your own and you don't have like a lot of support from other institutions, and you're starting out, like printing costs can be extremely high, even for like major magazines and other things. So we were so excited to do it. We had to relearn how to redesign everything, because one thing is like designing a magazine for a screen, and the other one is designing it in a way that would translate to a paper magazine, and like paying attention to details more than ever, because once it was printed, that was pretty much it. And just making sure that all the photos looked good, the quality was excellent. And the thing is, after we launched our first issue, print issue, like in less than a week, we sold out. So that was also something really excited for us, and showed us that, okay, there's a way. And that same year, we also had 2 other major projects. One, it was a book with Echoes of Yesterday, and we put together a selection of 84 artists based in many parts of the world. So it was a massive project, the biggest one that we've had so far, like just learning how to work with almost 90 people with different backgrounds, who are speaking different languages. It was a challenge, but also so sweet to see the final product in our hands, because this one we also launched it as an ebook, but also as a soft cover and a hardcover version. And still from this day, people are buying it, and that was also pretty special. And also with that, we hosted our first virtual exhibition, and it's a project that we've been doing a couple of exhibitions per year. But this year we decided to do it only once a year, just because it's a project that we love, but not the one that excites us the most. So also learning that there are seasons there you'll be focusing more on a specific type of project and not much in others, and then changing to other things that make more sense for you as a business and as a platform community magazine. It's super important as well, because things evolve and things change. So I think for 2021, that was pretty much it.
And then in 2022, we launched our first virtual residency artist program. And Juliana was, took a little bit of the lead on this project, and then she was really excited to be able to host a virtual residency so that our residency could reflect our community, which is a very international community. We have people just from all over the world. So a virtual residency made a lot of sense for us. We're still hoping to, in the future, have in-person events, but right now this is what makes sense for our community, since they're really international. We started a virtual residency program in, I think, the spring of 2022, and we actually decided to do a little bit of a test residency program just to see interest levels and to see how things would, work out with it being virtual. And it went really well, but we realized we did it for 4 weeks and we realized that that was way too short. So in the fall of 2022, that's when we decided to launch a 9-week residency program. And, now we're hosting our spring session right now as we're talking. And those programs were really amazing. And we got to connect even deeper with our community. And this is really a big force of what we do with our magazine and with our platform, just making connections with our community. And we also started doing collaborations. We were asked to curate a couple exhibitions and things like that. And then we also, separately on our own, we host virtual workshops, but we started coming together and hosting workshops through the magazine and doing embroidery and collage and different workshops that we both host as part of the magazine. And then in 2023, which is very new, we started having some speaking engagement opportunities with podcasts and, with this workshop and webinar right now and another platform. And so I think that something that was important for us was not necessarily to have a growth that was gonna, explode overnight, because sometimes that can feel overwhelming and then you can get burned out. So I think just kind of taking your time and, taking the steps to make sure that your growth isn't like too fast, too quick, and then things are kind of like left on the side. And something that's super important for us is just to be able to put our best foot forward for everything that we do. So more of a slow growth was important for us. But as you can see, we have grown significantly since the first digital issue where we were inviting artists. And now, we have almost 20,000 followers, and that may seem small for some people, but for us it's huge because those followers are people who truly connect with what our mission is, and they're all found photo artists or collectors, people who have a passion about found photos or vintage photos. And so our community is, it seems large, but it's really tight knit, and we really pride ourselves in that. So.
Yes, absolutely. So here's a little bit of our timeline, as you can see, and just like if you asked us in 2019 if we had any idea how this magazine idea would come up to be, we would never have guessed like all the things that we would be doing. So it's just a reminder that if an idea is out there calling you, you should definitely give it a chance because it might surprise you. And once again, for each person, it works differently, but it's so important to build a strong foundation. And this is something that we want to help you with in our next workshops. But since you're all here, I want to invite you to grab a notebook because we'll have a couple of activities of creative writing just to help you spark the idea or get clarity on the vision that you have of an art platform or magazine or community that you want to build. So we're going to give you a couple of minutes for each of these prompts. But the first one that we want to invite you to reflect and write down is what community means to you. So I'm going to put I'm gonna make sure to have the time here, and I'll call you once it's time to move to the next one.
Mm-hmm. And this can be, you can write sentences, but you can also just write some words that come to you. And, you know, it's just like a creative exercise to just kind of see what your vision is and, you know, where you're at. So we're gonna do about, I think about like 2 or 3 minutes for each. So we'll start with what does community mean to you, and then we can come back as a group and maybe anyone who wants to share can share.
due time constraints, we're gonna ask you to move to the next question, but remember that you can always come back with more time to keep writing about what community means to you. And if anyone wants to share, you can type in the chat box and we would love to hear it. And the next prompt that we have is, what are you passionate about? It could be like supporting other creatives, finding your place, guiding, teaching, leading, creating opportunities. It could be also something specific, like for us, we're passionate about vintage and found photos. And that's what drove us also to create our platform. So just start brainstorming ideas of what are some of your passions too. And once again, we'll give you a couple of minutes and you can always go back to these questions later. And as for the next question that we have here, what are some core values you would want your community to encompass? This could be inclusivity, community over competition, supportive, safe environment, or, whatever values you feel that are important to you. This should also reflect in your project idea, because this way you get to connect with like-minded people, which is so important when we're talking about community. So I'm also going to set a timer for us. And once again, you can always go back to the questions after. And last but not least, we want to invite you to reflect if you're interested in creating an online community or would prefer creating a local in-person community. What are some logistics of what you're thinking about doing? Like, is it going to be a more international audience, a more national one? These are some also great things to ask yourself when you're starting to come together with the foundation of your platform. So a couple of minutes, then we'll get back to you.
So just to make sure that you know, we respect your time and we don't go over time because we have just a little bit more after this. We would love to maybe come together, and if anyone feels like sharing anything that they wrote about or any ideas that they have for projects, just, you know, unmute yourself and feel free to talk about it if you're comfortable, of course.
And if you're shy, that's okay too. We respect that. Or if you want to type in the chat box, we can also read it for you, because sometimes being on camera can be overwhelming and intimidating. So it's up to you, but we would love to hear what you came up with, because I think for us, one of the things that made our platform successful was just getting very clear from the very beginning. And that's one of the reasons that we decided to give you these prompts, because you were able to start like really creating your vision and understanding like what do you want to do, who you want to serve, what's the common thread between you and your community, and how can you serve them. So this is like so important when you're running a business, and this is something that also evolves with time, and we'll talk a lot about all of that in our upcoming workshop sessions. And if nobody wants to share for now, we would love to go on and share what we'll be talking about in this workshop series. So if you're feeling ready to start your own community or expand your existing one, we want to invite you to join us for the next 4 weeks. So we can get together and we can brainstorm ideas, and you get to know how we did it step by step. So we'll be guiding you throughout the process. So this will be a 3-part workshop series. And Twiggy, do you want to talk a little bit about the first workshop?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so today we felt like it would be a really good session to kind of get an overview of who we are and what we do, just so that, you know, people can get to know us and see what we do, because maybe they're not familiar with our platform or something like this. So we did want to include some prompts just to kind of get you guys to think, and do some creative writing and just start brainstorming on different things. But during our next workshop, which will be workshop 1 out of 3 workshops, we'll be kind of sharing the experience of starting the art magazine and the platform, starting it from scratch, so with no prior experience, learning on the go, different things to think about when you're starting from scratch. We'll talk about having a clear mission, which was basically our first step into developing our project. So we'll have some prompts and exercises to help you develop a clear mission so that you start with a strong foundation. We'll talk about getting to know your targeted audience, finding your visual identity. So just making sure that everything is cohesive with your project, with who you are, with the community that you're serving and that you're creating. And then we'll talk about setting goals and making a plan to get started. And we'll touch up briefly on budget, which is an important one, especially if you're starting with no budget or a very small budget like us. I think that it'll be helpful to kind of, start talking about what to do and what are some things that you can think about when you're starting without a big budget.
So for workshop 2, we'll be talking a lot about working as a team and the joys and challenges. And we'll cover like working as a team as opposed to working by yourself, teamwork and accountability, and the importance of having a accountability partner to your project so you can stick to your goals and deadlines. We'll talk about our responsibilities and what we do on a day-to-day basis with our magazine. So some of the things that we're in charge for, each of us. We'll also talk a little bit about learning each other's strengths and using them strategically. And this can also be applied if you're working on yourself, but it's important that you acknowledge your strengths and where you can ask for support, even if it's by hiring a freelance worker or something like this. But you don't have to know it all by yourself or do it on your own. And once again, the daily task. And also something really important is about aligning expectations and growing together. And also prompts to get you thinking, like, how can we move forward with our platform, how we can grow, and all of that. And last but not least, on workshop number 3, Twiggy.
We'll talk about kind of branching out and expanding our project, business, magazine, whichever you're thinking of starting. We'll talk about, like the importance of revisiting your mission often because things evolve. Hopefully they evolve. They don't just stay the same. We'll talk more about organic growth, finding new ways to earn revenue, adding different things on your business, being able to reflect on past years so that you can learn from those years and apply techniques and new things to the next year, avoiding burnout, which is a huge, huge topic, I think, especially when you're starting kind of a little bit of like a grassroots at the beginning with just 1 or 2 people working. I think that's a really important theme to visit. And then we'll also talk about how we got to collaborating with other platforms and institutions and businesses and all of that. So if you'd like to join us, you can actually sign up just for one of the workshop if one speaks more to you, but they are designed to go together. And they kind of go in like a sequence. So you can also sign up for all 3. And I think that Haley is actually going to link the Eventbrite in the
I
chat?
put a link into the group chat. So it's right there if you're interested in, getting to know more about the other events going on. And they're kind of all spaced out where the next one is in 2 weeks from now, but they're going to be about every week after that. So we have a little bit of a gap for the next one. But then, yeah, it's going to be weekly for the next 3 weeks after. So that's pretty exciting. But so is this, Juliana and Twiggy, is this the space for questions and all of that? It was very fun to listen to your story. I feel like we also learned a lot and I'm very excited to attend the future events. But if you guys can please put all of your questions and notes into the group chat, we will start addressing them. Or I think maybe sometimes I just like to call people out randomly and put them on the spot. I will say I am guilty of doing that. I do that all the time. But please drop in your questions because this is the time now. And also, oh, somebody signed off. If you have any questions, also to note, even though this was about how you guys kind of founded and developed Photo Trouvée, we're also a platform for artists, emerging artist community. It's very different, but it's also relatively the same groundwork. And it's also grassroots as well. We're just 2 women putting it all together, and we're all about collaboration and community. And that's basically how we're doing this, is it's just a mutual collaboration. So I feel like the questions can go either way, but Sylvia, Leah, Barbara, I'm looking at your names, Glenn, Ami, Joanne, Darren.
I just put a comment in. I just think this is really excellent. So thank you very much. I'm hoping to join you for the upcoming workshops. So I don't have any questions right now.
Thank you, Sylvia.
Thank you so much, Sylvia. We hope to see you there.
We can also put in our email in case anyone wants to reach out with questions after the workshop. Sometimes I know when I'm in these, my brain is like in overdrive. Exactly. So
it's a lot of information for sure.
So we're gonna leave our visionary projects email in the group chat if you don't have it already. And then please reach out with any thoughts, ideas, questions, and you can reach out to either one of our emails, and we'll either address the question in a future workshop, or we'll also get back to you directly on email, but it could be good information for future workshops to address.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, we would love that. No pressure.
But a lot of pressure. Yeah, no, we definitely answer and look at all emails. So yeah, and if there's anything for Juliana and Twiggy, we'll definitely forward it to them, or we'll collaboratively answer. But now's the time. And yeah, thank you guys so much for joining. It was there's so many familiar names here. Maybe it's the community just keeps growing every day. So it's really exciting to meet everybody and to have your presence. We're all grateful for you showing up and taking the time out of your day for joining us. And yeah, Juliana, Twiggy, is everything good on your end?
Yes, once again, we just want to thank everyone for their time, because we know how precious time can be. And we hope to see you on the next workshops. And if not, don't be a stranger, stay in touch with us. We appreciate you, and we hope you put your idea in the world, because the world really needs it. So I hope you all have a great week ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much again, and we'll see you guys soon.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Ami, for being here.